If we can travel time together and meet you at that particular boarding room, I reckon that all the leaders walked out. You're gonna stay there for a minute or so after that, and you sit next to that Amy, and you talk to that Amy. So what is that you're gonna talk to her?
Oh, wow. I love that question. I have not looked at it from that view before, and I love that. So what I'd say to Amy in that room is, these people have been where you are. They're just as human as you are. That they chose you to lead this and facilitate this conversation for a reason. Remind yourself of that reason. Lead from that place. Right? I think those would be the initial things, because I think that probably would have, my nervous system was fired up quite a bit, which is a natural thing. Like if you're not nervous or something, of course you're going to be nervous, but how you regulate that, right? How you regulate and use that energy, it's not to remove it. How do you use that energy? And I think those are things that, I lead from today, that sitting next to her then would be that. After the meeting, it probably would have been a moment of compassion of, I know that was difficult. And it's okay that things get difficult. It's okay that you get tripped up in the moment. We don't always think on our feet when we need to. Because what I didn't want in that moment was somebody to say, you should have done this, you should have done that. Yeah. You don't want to hear that. You need somebody to give you some compassion and open the door to give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Because every single person sitting there has done something like that.
Now you have a word with everybody in that room. What are you going to talk to that young Amy and the other people around can listen to?
Yeah. Well, one, I think I would turn to my mom, first of all, to Betty, and say thank you, because you gave me the courage to do these things and to believe I could show up in a room like this and actually succeed. So I think I first owe a big moment of gratitude to Betty. But I think we would tell that Amy, like, good on, first of all, congrats for taking the step. The suit doesn't look good. It's very, it's not flattering. Get a different suit. Because I had no idea what I was doing. But congrats on taking that step and just enjoy it. And I think I had a lot of, I talk about, I did this, it makes it sound as if I got that job and I was like, yeah, there was a lot of agonizing about, should I take this job? Does this change my identity if I become a management consultant? Am I still someone who cares about the world? And I think that's the one thing I really would want to tell that Amy now. This Amy would tell that Amy, and I would really want Harper to hear, and I want your listeners to hear, which is that you can have an impact on the world no matter what you're doing, right? You don't have to be working with homeless people in San Francisco. You don't have to be in Moscow working with organizations. You can have an impact, and in some ways the largest impact you can have is to love the people around you and to treat them with kindness, and whether that's fellow management consultants or a client, or just bringing that kindness and curiosity to every interaction you have does change the world. And I think that's really what I would want to tell her. Like, I know this feels weird. I know you feel like you're doing this just for the money, but this is going to be an entry point for you to realize the impact you can have for the rest of your career.
So what is that you're going to tell that young Lynda, what the kids be around?
Oh, crumbs, you asked some really good questions. I would be saying to them, lighten up and have some fun. because this world can make you extremely serious. And of course, some things are extremely serious, but some things are not. So when you have a window between being very serious, things happen, bereavement, illness, very serious things happen. Between those times, lighten up and have fun. Because when you put the brain in a pleasurable state, we're the most efficient and effective we can be. And the best way of putting the brain in a pleasurable state is with kindness, generosity, and altruism. So have fun, enjoy other people, be kind to them, and everything will work out.
So assuming you and I will travel time to meet that little young Dave, okay? And we're gonna have a conversation with little young Dave. And you're gonna tell him something. What is that you're gonna tell him?
You don't have to be so afraid. You have many resources inside that can help you, and you will meet many resources outside and around you that will help you. You don't have to stay in fear. Because I think I was very afraid most of my childhood of something, I don't know what, but I could tell I was operating out of fear. And of course the church was telling me, you have to fear hell if you commit sin. And in my book I show there can't be any such thing as hell. There can't be punishment after death. Punishment after death is the equivalent of, well, retaliation will definitely happen, and God will do it if you can't. So we don't want that in our religion anymore. We want the God who is love and does not punish you for all eternity. So that's another major change from my childhood religion. And I have a little section in the book on this.
What is that you're going to tell that little lady and your parents?
After losing, I think that's a great question. And this actually, it's very applicable, and it's, I'm doing Q&A right now for Gretchen Rubin's newsletter, and one of the pieces is, one of the questions is, if you had advice for your younger self, what would it be? And also another of the questions is like, what's a kind of mantra that you have? And when I was playing soccer, one of my coaches gave me this poem, and like one of the sentiments in the poem is basically life is a little bit what happens to you, but mostly how you react to it. And that was always, after we lost, first I'd blame the refs and, come up with all these excuses, but then I'd ultimately get to this place of like, okay, we lost. How do you solve that problem, right? How can you make it better? Why did we lose? How can we fix that thing? Maybe it's, hey, our left back didn't have a very good game, but I'm really good friends with the left back. Maybe I can talk to him and get him excited for the next game, right? Or maybe it's something tactical where it's like, you know what? They broke our offsides trap too easily. How do we like stay tighter together as a team and not let that happen? Or maybe it's, I missed my shots, so I'm gonna practice more of those shots. So it's like, what's the reaction to it, right? What did I learn from this? What's the reaction? And of course for soccer, it's trivial, but that's also just an approach to, this is happening all the time to us in life, right? Things are happening to us that are just bad luck, just the way the world is, and that there's no way to avoid that. But then the question is like, how do you respond? And so I think that's probably a great place to leave it. And that's been, a great lesson for me from sports, but obviously more important in life than just in soccer.
What about the part that you're going to tell your parents about the future?
About the future, I think it's just, we'll learn from this and move on. So what do you mean? Like, tell my parents that
about you and thing that you're gonna do in the future for your parents.
Oh, for them?
Uh-huh.
I think my thing for them has always been to try to do the same thing that they did for me for my kids, or better. Right? It's like they set the bar so high in terms of like just clearly always thinking about how do you make this situation good for your kids and for other kids too, not just their kids, but other kids in the community. And for me, I've never felt like I need to give them anything other than that, which is, and they don't even expect that, but I do feel very obligated to put the same positive impact for kids into the world that they did for me and my siblings.
If I can travel time with you to see that little boy, Garry, at 12, 13 years old when he delivered newspaper for Mrs. Pugh, all right? And we stop him and you tell him that you are him in the future, and you say, okay, this is our future going to be, and you have a few things you want to share with him about how your life is in the future, how his life is going to be in the future. So what will you tell him?
It's not about you, it's about the people you serve.
At that age, would he understand?
Well, he probably learnt the lesson from Mrs. Peel, so maybe he would. Whether he believed it be true or not, I don't know.
So he's very, very wise at a very, very young age already himself.
But he learned something from the experience.
All right. So the final question is about one thing that you mentioned many, many times in this conversation is about think. I think that young boy has been carrying with his mind a lot of questions at young age that expand his ability to think over the years. So my wife and I will be on the quest to help people to get wiser through improving their ability to think. And I don't have many chance to have a talk with people like you, Garry. So the question we want to ask, so that the people can bring some practical insights to you is how have you been growing your ability to think?
Well, I think again, it's intentional. Again, it's, having that intention of wanting to continue to be a learner, wanting to be curious, all of that stuff. In the coaching I do now, the first stage of my coaching process with the CEOs I coach is about awareness. Are you aware of who you are, and are you happy with that person? And do you know how you are impacting others? And a lot of them don't know how they're impacting others because they've never taken the opportunity to find out. So we talk to their stakeholders and say, hey, how is this person's leadership style either helping you or not helping you? Because the leader has to change, not the person that they're leading.
Like the fish, moving from the hand, right?
Yeah.